struggle for the gun, Sirhan showed enormous strength resisting Kennedy's bodyguards. When arresting officers shone a flashlight in his eyes, his pupils were dilated and didn't react, suggesting he may have been drugged.
The stunning thing about Sirhan, stunning fact about him, is that he went under hypnosis so quickly and so willingly and was so highly programmable to do things like climbing the bars of his cell like a monkey under post-hypnotic suggestion. If there had been some handlers, whether from the CIA or whoever, they had a pretty fit subject on their hands there in Sirhan Sirhan. Dr. Diamond shied away from that theory that Sirhan was a Manchurian Candidate, I think because he didn't want to look silly, and it was a pretty outlandish theory. But the fact that so many years have passed and he stuck to that story lead me to think that he really didn't remember shooting Robert Kennedy, that he probably killed Kennedy in a trance and was programmed to forget that he'd done it, and programmed to forget the names and identities of others who might have helped him do it.
Dr. Herbert Spiegel is a world authority on hypnosis and has taught at Columbia University for over 40 years.
He seemed to be a very hypnotizable person. The people who were programming him worked on the assumption that the Israeli-Arab war was an insult to him, and built up his first skepticism and then his anger to justify getting rid of somebody who was such an enemy of the Arab culture. Up to the time of the coffee, he was not in a trance state. This was the part of their controlling his environment. But probably after that, that's when they induced the hypnosis with him, and from that time until it was all over, he was in a trance state. So he had a spontaneous amnesia for the whole event.
For hours after his arrest, Sirhan happily chatted away to the police in custody without once mentioning the shooting. He didn't realize why he was held until he was arraigned the next morning.
He does not have an emotional knowledge that he committed a crime because he's totally dissociated from it. He could easily feel at ease and sharp and alert because he doesn't feel guilty about anything.
The prosecution discovered a notebook in Sirhan's room that contained repetitious incantations of the phrase, "RFK must die" or "RFK must be assassinated," up and down the page. The prosecution was jubilant because it regarded this as a Rosetta Stone, which confirmed that Sirhan had tried to program himself into committing the assassination.
They are the writings of a maniac. It's my handwriting. They are my thoughts, but I don't remember them. I don't have the guts to do anything like that.
Sirhan later blamed the killing on Kennedy's promise to send 50 bombers to Israel, and the June 5th in his notebook marked the anniversary of Israel's victory in the Six-Day War the year before. Sirhan first learned of Kennedy's support for Israel in a television program on May 20th, yet he wrote the statements in his notebook 2 days earlier.
Before trial, in a hypnotic session inside Sirhan's cell, Dr. Diamond asked Sirhan in trance, "Tell us more about Robert Kennedy." And Sirhan wrote out the phrase, "RFK must die, die, RFK must die." The same kind of repetitious phraseology, indicating that the notebook was written in a hypnotic trance as well.
Writing it down was his way of reinforcing the direction of the programming that was going on.
How much preparation time would we need for something like this?
A few months is all that's necessary because he was so highly hypnotizable. He could be very quickly programmed, change his perspective in a rather short time and give him instructions. But the big thing would be to control his environment, to see to it he was the right place at the right time. There was this woman in the polka dot dress and a man, whoever they are. And I just assumed that they were the people who were part of a team who programmed him, and they were the agents to see to it he was at the right place.
So how much time every day would they need to see him for a couple of months to be able to program him?
If I were doing it, I think just 1 or 2 hours a day would be enough.
And how would you mask that so he wouldn't be able to remember going to a certain place?
Yeah, tell him that you won't tell anybody about it. This will be our secret. The people who do it, if they do, don't go around advertising it. And if they do it, they can be very secretive the way they were secretive with Sirhan. So I don't think we can say it's out of style now or it's not being used now. We don't know.
The CIA had an extensive mind control operation underway, two of them, MK Ultra and Operation Artichoke.
Operation Artichoke began in 1953. One of its first experiments asked, can an individual be made to perform an act of assassination involuntarily under the influence of artichoke, against a prominent politician or, if necessary, an American official?
They discovered throughout the 50s and the 60s that they could use hypnoprogramming to manipulate people into committing crimes with no knowledge or memory of what they were doing. That's what happened to Sirhan.
By 1968, Operation Chaos saw the CIA spying on anti-war protesters and the Black Panthers with the help of the LAPD's intelligence division.
The LAPD does have a history of ties with the CIA, and we know that in the persons of two people who played a critical role in the investigation, Manuel Pena and Sergeant Enrique or Hank Hernandez.
Hernandez told Sandra Serrano a little about his background during her polygraph test.
I have been called to South America, to Vietnam, Europe, and I have administered tests. The last test that I administered was to the dictator in Caracas, Venezuela. He was a big man, a dictator. Pérez Jiménez was the last name. And this is when there was a transition in the government of Venezuela, and that's when President Betancourt came in, but this is all behind. But there was a great thing involved over there, and I tested this gentleman.
So what is an LAPD polygraph officer doing in South America working for the U.S. government? I mean, that's an indication of a CIA connection. In the case of Manuel Pena, Pena left the LAPD shortly before the assassination and went to work in South America for the Agency for International Development, a division of the State Department, which is a known CIA front. Pena returned to Los Angeles and the LAPD shortly before the assassination and was given command of a division of the Special Investigation Squad, Special Unit Senator, which was concerned with conspiracy charges.
Really working for poor people in this country is a dangerous thing to do. We found out that with King, Dr. King. We found out with the threats against Chavez. We found out with Robert Kennedy.
Our main approach here would be that the CIA planned the assassination.
It's possible. I mean, they've done worse things, haven't they? In fact, that's where Robert Kennedy went first. You probably know that when he first heard that his brother was killed, he called John McCone, head of the CIA, and said, "Did your guys do it?" You know.
By 1968, Bobby Kennedy posed a huge threat to the CIA. He was a loose cannon, soft on communism, and a champion of the minorities. And if elected, he would stop the war, take control of the CIA, and reinvestigate his brother's death, throwing the spotlight on the agency.